Hello everyone, I am here today. I am going to read two more chapters of the story in Children's Bible in Stories. Let's get started. The Tempting Fruit. Nothing could spoil the happiness of Adam and Eve in the garden, or so it seems. But there was one person who was plotting to spoil all of that God had made. He was Satan, the enemy of God, who hated that all was good and lovely. One day, the snake, who was the most charming of all the creatures in the garden, whispered to Eve, "Did God really say you must not eat any of the fruit from the lovely trees?" "Of course not," Eve replied. "We can eat all the fruit we want, except for the one tree over there. God said we must not eat that fruit, for if we do, we shall die." "That's not true," the snake said softly. "God knows that if you eat that fruit, you will be wise and clever as He is. That's why He told you not to eat it too." Eve looked with new eyes at the luscious fruit hanging in clusters from the forbidden tree. How lovely it looked, she imagined. How good it would taste. Then thought how wonderful it would be to become wise as the snake promised. Then her mind made up so quickly. Pick one of the tempting fruit, bit into it, handed it to Adam to try too. But instead of feeling clever and wise, they both felt miserable and ashamed. They had disobeyed wise and lovely God, who was their creator and their friend. Whenever came, they had not hurried to go meet God. They were ashamed because they had disobeyed Him. They picked some large leaves to cover up their bodies, and then had slightly hid in the bushes. Every other evening they had waited for God's lovely call. Now they listen in afar for well knowing of God's voice. At last they heard Him. "Where have you been, Adam?" God called. With downcast eyes they crept out to meet the God they no longer wanted to see. There's chapter 3. Now we're going to chapter 4. Paradise Lost. Adam and Eve came slowly out of meet God. He looked long and sadly at the guilty pair. Why were you hiding? He asked them. I was afraid to see you because I am naked. Adam streamed. Who told you that? God asked. Have you ate the fruit from the tree that gives you knowledge of what is good and what is evil? It was not my fault, Adam said. Eve pursued me. It was not my fault, Eve said. The snake tricked me into eating it. God spoke to each of them in turn. He explained that by disobeying him, they had not spoiled his lovely earth. Now weeds and thorns will spring up among the crops and flowers. Work would become hard and worrisome. That's why something even sadder to follow. You could no longer stay in the garden, God said. We have walked and talked together here, but now you have chosen to do what you want. And that means you have chosen to go away from me. Now you must go out into the world and make your own way. And when you are old, you will die. With heavy hearts, Adam and Eve left the beautiful Garden of Eden. God's messengers with swords, flames, guarded the gate of paradise. The mankind had lost, so it seemed forever. Okay, there's chapter 4. Whoops, I got it too close. There you go. So that concludes today's reading. I will be back in about 2 weeks if I don't get busy, and I'll do 2 more chapters. You have a good day now. Bye.